All right, welcome to episode 26 of the Mouthwash Show. I just realized that I had not loaded the I have not loaded the intro to this show. That is really awesome. I have everything else on there. Let's see if I can get that up here real quick and get it playing. So while it loads, I will kill some time, do a little housekeeping. Hey, we just want to say real quick that we appreciate all of you that are tuning in to watch our show. And I want to thank all those that participate in the polls that is on People Over Politics. And hey, we use those actual questions for the peeps on the streets. So tonight we're going to do something new with that. It's going to be on the banner below so you can see the actual results. So gambling, it doesn't seem to be like a really hot topic like, all this other stuff we have going on right now. And I think this will be sort of a little bit of a break from the current events that are just getting crazier by the day with what's happening. So, hey, it's very interesting. So, hey, I got this loaded up. So let's go ahead and play this intro here. And notice we got a little cameo take, a new segment called the cameo take, which we've had, but I finally came up with a name of it. And that's someone who has a 2 or 3 minute take, sort of like the small talk that comes in. But we got Jason Hammer. He was gracious enough to do a little, sports betting tutorial. Well, teach us about sports betting. So we have that tonight. So, hey, let's go ahead and start this intro and get this show started. All right, let me get everybody organized here. So, yeah, that looks pretty good. Oh, wait, Ed's on the left. Lucy's in the middle. Tiffany, I like Tiffany down there by me. It's like keep an eye on her. So, hey, we got another great show. The panel's here for, I think this is like the 6th or 7th consecutive week. I don't want to jinx it, but I'm really happy with the quality of the panel that's on this show. I can't believe you would hang out with the likes of me, but I do appreciate it. So, hey, I'm just going to go bottom up around by Ed and over to Lucy. I'm going to ask each how you're doing tonight. Tiffany, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm back from Aruba. I spent 4 or 5 days very close to the equator. Thanks. And I had a very relaxing and fun time.
Oh, and then back to the grind of the show. Being a superstar is a hard business. So Ed, how are you? How are you?
Come back for that money.
Oh, yeah, the big money, too. Big money. Well, you can go to Aruba on your salary. I mean, that's like 10 minutes of your salary that you spent down there. So I'm sure of that. Ed, how's it going up there in South Bend that's in northern Indiana?
I am doing outstanding today. We're in the middle of the best week ever here in South Bend. We've had tons of events going on. I've been trying to get out to everything I can. Just launched our Facebook page today for Best of South Bend, in which I'm trying to highlight local businesses, think small local restaurants and local community leaders that are getting stuff done in our community. So it's been a great day.
All right. That sounds like a little bit of a do something thing. I like it. It. So Lucy, how are you doing? I saw a little Facebook, but I don't want to get, it's a spoiler alert. I'm not going to give this away, but maybe later in the show, we're going to have Lucy at her best. So, Lucy, how are you doing down there in southern Indiana?
I got to tell you, I'm doing better than I deserve, given my sordid past. And I too am back for the bbig money that you pay us to be on this show.
Oh, it's just incredible. And, it's the fan appreciation, too. I think that's really, really what it is. And, I want to put you on the spot. I think that you and Dorn, we should have a new segment, Marriage Tips by Lucy and Dorn. Or Dorn and Lucy. I don't know who wants to go first on that. You guys.
I'm always preeminent. Put my name first.
Yeah, I thought that was coming. So that could be our first topic on how to yield to your significant other. I think that would be a blockbuster segment that we could put on here. A little 2 or 3 minute tip on how do you manage 10 kids, a marriage, and still like each other? I'm not talking about
Who
love.
said
I'm
we
talking
like
about
each
life.
other?
Yeah, we're just talking about life. So yeah. Oh, and you got one fan here. It's
Thank
my
you,
wife.
Lisa.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we ladies stick together. We know what's going on.
She pointed out your Facebook video that I just want to tease everybody with, but we will get to it after the gambling subjects. Let's jump right into it. Let's go to we're going to go with Mark Small and Small Talk first off tonight because he does a pretty good job about explaining gambling. I mean, and some of the things he talks about, you think, wow, I didn't know that was gambling. But then when you think about it, yeah, it is. So let's see what Mark's got to say on the segment Small Talk. And then we'll be back and we'll discuss the morality of gambling. That is not it.
Hi, I'm Mark Small. Let's talk about gambling. To gamble is to stake or risk money or anything of value on the outcome of something involving chance. That describes just about everything in life. First of all, let's look at organized gambling. It's called the insurance industry. Insurance corporations have mortality tables set up. When you buy auto insurance, they already counted on you having a wreck or somebody like you having a wreck so many different times out of so many tens of thousands of people. So they've kind of organized the risk. Casinos, they run the house. The house knows they make 52 to 53%. Nobody goes broke running a casino. Only an idiot could do that. So those are things that we look upon. The first one is insurance. We don't look upon that as gambling. That's insurance. It is gambling. The second one there is a casino. It's gambling, and you don't get insurance for it. Now, is gambling morally wrong? Anytime you're betting money on the outcome of something involving chance or risk, life in other words, you're going to do that. That's what happens. Look at the Bible. Look at what happened in Job. There was no gambling there. Instead, Satan said, look at Job. He's your most faithful servant. And God just took everything away from him and said, see, he's still going to worship me. Didn't bet Satan on it. It was worse than that. He didn't bet anything at all. He just did it for the sheer pleasure of it, I guess. But when we talk about gambling, there are other forms of gambling just beyond life and casinos. There are things you can bet on in like bookies and sporting events and all sorts of stuff. It's chance. It's figuring out probabilities, figuring out odds, and then figuring whether you're going to go one way on it or another. It's cost-benefit analysis. Phrase it any way you wish, the illegality of it causes more harms than it being legal. That's why it's better to have casinos, because people are going to go broke anyway betting on things. They do it all the time. If you're interested in reading about the NCAA tournament and betting, you might read a fictional account, $1 Billion Balls. It's available on Amazon.com in ebook format. I wrote it, and it's pretty good. It's about a parlay bet, and it's fictionalized. Any people in it resembling persons living or dead, purely coincidental, completely by chance. Only if you get it on Amazon, it's free. So it's not like I'm risking something. I'm making a lot of money on it. I'm Mark Small, Small Talk. Catch you later. And my cats are running around in here. They're my new family. Take care.
All right. He posed quite a few questions right there about gambling. And I want to start out with pretty much our first question. And I'm going to roll across the bottom here our poll question that we had on People Over Politics. If you want to participate in that poll during the week, we post the questions. And I'm going to put those on the bottom here, the answer or the how people voted. We didn't have, like I said, usually we have about 80 people that participate. We didn't have so many. So I don't know if people are a little reluctant to talk about gambling, or maybe they lost a little bit of money or what. But let's talk about the morality. And Mark brings up a good point about, well, people are going to gamble anyway, so we might as well make it legal. And I think that's sort of one of the things that they talk about in a lot of things. Maybe you could parlay that over to marijuana or whatever. People are going to smoke anyway, so why not make it legal? But so, and that's sort of the name of our show, the gambling creep. So let's talk about that. We're going to start with we'll start with Tiffany again on what you think about the morality of gambling. I see that look on your face, like, oh dear, I don't.
My thoughts on gambling. It's funny that we're talking about this because while I was in Aruba, I won some money on the penny slots. So I won about $200, and it was just something I was doing for fun. I started with $20, and I was prepared to lose it and walk away from it all. I didn't risk more than I needed to risk. I didn't feel like a bad person afterwards. And it was just something to do for entertainment. I think that everything has to be done in moderation. If somebody chooses to risk their money like that, that's something that, they are certainly obligated to do if they want to. But I think that we have to do everything to make sure people don't develop problems, because that's when that's when it just gets out of control. So
I have one question for you. How'd you get all those pennies in your luggage?
I went with rolls. But
okay,
good.
It
was fun. But you're sitting there, while you're sitting there and the wheel is going and you're hearing the noises, the bing, 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 and your little amygdala is going, ah. I mean, you really do get into it. You get a little bit sweaty, you get really excited, and then you just keep hitting the button, waiting for it to happen again and happen again. I mean, if you're not a balanced, grounded person, you could really get into trouble.
Yeah, there's a lot of psychology in how that music is, how that atmosphere is. There's a lot to that. Ed, you're going last. I'm going with Lucy next. What do you think?
I believe in investing in vices. I mean, that's something that humans do particularly well, and so it's going to be profitable. I was brought up in the Mormon religion where, gambling would be considered to be a vice. But as an adult who believes that I have the right to do a number of things, such as, cost-benefit analysis, I have the right to dispose of my private property as I wish. So, we can't keep it down if you're an online poker man. I hope you win. Yeah, and you know what? I think what Tiffany pointed out that was super, super interesting. I talked to a gentleman today named Nathan Segal that wrote a book on mind control because he had come out of a religious cult, and he was, really giving me some insider information on, like the dopamine and the endorphins and, the starvation and the repetition, and all those things are exactly what Tiffany was just describing. So, I think you need to be cognizant and aware of how you're being manipulated, whether it's by MSM or whether it's by, the casino. But other than that, it's your money. Go for it. It's yours to lose all day long.
Yeah. That's two good takes. Come on, Ed. I've saved you for last because I know you like to partake in some of the gambling that from our conversation. So you're going to be our expert tonight. I mean, Tiffany's not going to be an expert winning $200 on a penny slot. That is not what that's called. Lucky Tiffany. That's what it is. So go ahead, Ed. Tell us a little bit about what you think.
I just want to start with the disclaimer that I always tell people is I do gamble. I have gambled for a long time, but it's not something that I would encourage other people to do. I don't tell other people to do it. And it is, I mean, I follow sports, as you guys know. So when I go in for the NCAA tournament, I have books on stuff that I've been doing research. You're talking about, people walking into a casino and putting stuff in, just dropping some money. And so is it different? Is one morally better than the other? I don't think so. I think I asked the question before, is a brick, constructive or destructive? And it's really how you use it. And I agree a lot with Tiffany. I have seen people who have turned into addicts, and I've seen people at casinos. Yeah. I've seen people who are really far up and then just couldn't control themselves and ended up going negative, sitting there within an hour or two. And so it can be, but I don't, the moral aspect of it, I've never kind of tried to put that in frame. I think like all other things, it can be abused.
Yeah. And I'm going to put up on the bottom ticker here one of the questions we had for the peeps on the streets, which we're going to get to here directly after we answer this question. It's like, do you know someone who's lost a lot of money? And I was intrigued by this on the peeps on the streets. It pretty much, I would say, is probably about even on the peeps on the streets, but there are 9 people out, 9 out of pretty much 15 people knew somebody that's lost a lot of money that's had issues. Mm-hmm. So let's go with Lucy on that question. I'm going to ask you that question, and then we'll do Ed and Tiffany last. So Lucy, do you know somebody that's got themselves in some trouble?
Yeah, I have a friend who obviously won't name him, but he's from Southern Indiana, so he had easy access to riverboat gambling. And it became a problem in his life. It became a problem in his marriage, getting paid and then going directly to the boat and losing 50% or more of your paycheck became such a problem that when he was in one of his more lucid, not mind controlled or hyped up with dopamine moments, he actually went to the security of each of the casinos and asked to be put on the banned list, which I thought was very smart and to have the presence of mind to do that. And I was shocked because I didn't know that that was an option. But I would like to point out that the omnipotent state has used, lotteries to steal from us as an additional tax for, a number of years. And clearly, if the state does it, it must be completely moral.
Yeah, since you said lottery, I'm going to open up in the comments here, and we're going to do something a little new here. It's going to be like a little trivia. I don't care if you Google it or whatever, but the first person in the comment that gives the correct amount of millions that the state took in on their share of the lottery last year will get a T-shirt. If you message on mouthwashtalkshow@gmail your address after I say you win, I'm going to mail you one of these fancy T-shirts. And but you got to get the number in here. So let's see who's the first person to get that done, and we'll see. I don't care if you Google or whatever, however you find it, you can do it. So, but Ed, do you know anybody that has lost some, or maybe a little story with that?
Absolutely, I've known guys. I'll say it right now, and you're on a 12-month deployment. I knew guys that were betting entire checks when we're on the ship, and so I've definitely seen it happen before, and it is a sad story when it happens.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, it's like any addiction. It is. You get caught up in it, like Tiffany says. The music's all good. It's all happening. You're their bestest friend until you don't have any money. Then they throw you out. So Tiffany, how about you? Are you somebody?
I don't know a ton of people who gamble, but I did have a date years ago with this guy who was from Southern Indiana, and he came up here and we went out, and it was during football season, and we were at like a sports bar and we were watching the games, and he was just really, really into the games, and we were talking about it, and he's like, yeah, I've got some money on the games. And be quiet, wait. And I was like, what? And he was just so into the games. But long story short, he had a gambling addiction, he had alcohol, drug addiction. He had a bookie. I had never before met anybody with a bookie. I mean, he just represented like that personality type where it just really gets out of hand. He was a kind soul, but obviously not the man for me. And my heart just really broke for him because he was just, pretty much out of control.
Yeah, I mean, my most recent story is anybody that follows me on Facebook knows that I've had trouble with the city and my building permit and its inspector. Well, somebody recognized this inspector at my house, and he said, yeah, that's the dude that's wife that lost $175,000 at the casino, and they had to sell their house and they got divorced. So, yeah, there's that. Things like that happen, and those stories are, I don't know how somebody gets in for $175,000, but you know what? These bookies, these gambling, they're not your friends. They want your money, and the house doesn't lose. There's that old saying that these lights in Vegas didn't get built because of winners. So that's part of it. So well, let's see. Let's get nobody's getting even close to this. I mean, we got 6.3 billion. It is. I'm going to give you in. It's under 400 million. Now, this is just the state's. This is what the state gets in taxes from the lottery, not the total lottery. So, you got to take what they get in taxes times 3. Now we're talking billion. We're talking up in there. So, but no, not yet. They're not getting it. So let's go ahead and do the peeps on the streets, and maybe these people can actually Google this and find out what it is, and we'll go from there. So here you go. Enjoy the peeps on the streets, and then we'll be back to follow up with our final question and probably get to the Jason Hammer take on how sports betting came about. I'm here at Charity Church in Mars Hill, and I'm doing the Peeps on the Streets. And I thought I'd come to the church and see what people thought about the morality of gambling. Do you think gambling in Indiana is morally right?
No.
No? Out of any of the gambling we have, sports betting, lottery, parimutuel, do you do any gambling?
No.
Nope. Do you know anyone that has lost a lot of money gambling?
Yes, I do, in my family.
Do you think gambling in Indiana is morally right?
No.
All right. Do you participate in any of the gambling that's done in Indiana?
No.
Do you know someone that has lost a lot of money gambling?
Yes.
All right. Do you think gambling in Indiana is morally right?
No.
Do you participate in any of the gambling that's offered in Indiana?
Yes, sometime I buy a ticket as long as I feel if I pay my tithes and offerings like I should, that, it
So
doesn't
you
hurt.
say just a little fun here and there,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Do you know somebody that's lost a lot of money gambling, say in Indiana?
Not really.
All right. Do you think gambling in Indiana is morally right?
I don't gamble. So I don't know. I have mixed.
Okay, that's okay.
I don't gamble.
You sort of answered my next question. Do you gamble with any of in Indiana?
No, not normally. No.
Do you know someone who's lost a lot of money gambling?
No, I can't really think of anyone right off, to tell you the truth. Like,
Do you think gambling in Indiana is morally right?
I definitely do not.
Do you participate in any of the gambling that's offered in Indiana?
Honestly, man, I've been known to buy a scratch-off ticket or two.
So a little bit of lottery. All right. Do you know someone that has lost a lot of money?
I know several people that have. I know not only gambling with money, but just gambling in life in general, man.
Do you think gambling in Indiana is morally right?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Do you participate in any of the gambling that state offers?
Nope, I haven't.
Do you know anyone that has lost a lot of money gambling?
No, but I just see people put a lot of hope and trust in that, and I just think I don't know. I just think we need to put our hope and trust in other things like the Lord, and that's just where I am. I won't judge somebody for it, but I just think that it's giving a false hope.
And that's a wrap for another Peeps on the Streets here in Mars Hill at the Charity Church. I wonder what they would be saying down at the casino if I asked those peeps. Yeah, so I wanted to do it at the church here in Mars Hill that we go to, one of the churches, and it's very interesting to listen, to ask these questions to people that are just average people for every day that, they have sometimes I think, oh, this person's going to be a non-gambler or a gambler, and it's totally opposite. So just very interesting to see that, I think that the moral of our story is that in moderation, it's fun, but it can get ugly. So that was under, Dorn has guessed 295 million. Not high enough, but that's getting closer into the ballpark. I got a feeling that Mike King or Dorn are going to win because they're the only ones guessing right now, but they got to start. They need to put a jacket on because they're not even warm yet. So,
is it closest without going over?
We'll give them another chance here. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go back to back here on clips. This is our new segment called the Cameo Take. And this is going to be by whomever, we've had this in the past. It just didn't have a name. And this one is an interesting one here. It's Jason Hammer. And if you listen to the, WIBC, he's on in the afternoons with Nigel. And I reached out to him and said, hey, I know you do advertising for Bet Rivers. And I know he's bet Rob Kendall a bunch of times and just beat him up, betting him. So, Rob Kendall's had to wear eggs on his head or whatever they bet. It's usually something silly. I thought, well, let's see if he'll do it. So, hey, sure enough, he sends back a take on this. So this is a little bit of a take on how sports betting came to fruition. So let's have a look at this, and then we'll talk about it briefly, and then we're going to get to Lucy's rant.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Jason Hammer here from Hammer and Nigel Show.
93 WIBC every afternoon from 3 until 7 p.m. Talking about the legalization of sports betting here in the great state of Indiana. And to talk about this, you kind of have to talk about New Jersey first, because it was Chris Christie in New Jersey who took on the court system to allow other states to have legal sports betting, because Nevada kind of had the stranglehold on all of this. And there was a law called PASPA, P-A-S-P-A. It's an acronym. You can look it up. But it basically prohibited a lot of the other states from doing sports betting. Well, Chris Christie took that to the court system, got all the way to the Supreme Court, and won the case. So once New Jersey was allowed to proceed with sports betting, other states then kind of had the green light, and that includes the state of Indiana. The way that it works here in Indiana, honestly, is really good. They have one of the best sports betting books in all of America. The way that this bill is set up to where you can bet wagers in casino, at physical sports books, as well as on the app, on mobile and digital devices, which is where the majority of the money comes from. Now, speaking of the money, where does the money go? The state of Indiana will get some revenue from all of these bets being made at all these various different sources. Indiana Gaming Commission puts all that together. There's a thing called the general fund where this money is going to go. Now, the money from sports betting goes into the general fund, and your lawmakers get together and decide what they want to do with that. And it's usually nothing too exciting, right? We're not talking about teacher pay or anything like that. If the state fairgrounds needs a new swine barn, this is the kind of money that you can use to fix that. The kind of stuff that you need things fixed with, but you really don't want to spend a lot of your own money on, that's where the gambling money in Indiana comes from. But it's been a great success in the state of Indiana. College basketball, pro basketball, football. Football's king in the world of sports betting. And the state of Indiana, it does really well. New Jersey is kind of the runaway leader in terms of money bets and revenue generated and all that kind of stuff. But the state of Indiana does really well. And don't forget, with the sports betting bill that went through a couple years ago, they also made it so that the casinos in Anderson and Shelbyville could have actual cards and dealers, something that could not have been done during the Mike Pence administration because he saw that as an expansion of gaming. Once he was no longer the governor, Chris Christie defeats the Supreme Court. Here we go. Legal sports betting and cards at the closest casinos to Indianapolis. That's how it all works. That's where the money goes, and that's how it all breaks down. You folks have a fantastic day.
So as you can see, he knows his way around the gambling, but he brought up a couple of interesting things. He talked about Mike Pence and expanding gambling. And as you see that our show is called The Gambling Creep, and I use the example of riverboats. So we had riverboat gambling, and the riverboat had to go out in the Ohio River to be legally gambling. And then they docked the boat, and it didn't have to go out anymore. Then it went to the land, and then that's how they creep it into our society, into the thing. And it's not, people want it. I mean, a lot of people want the gambling. But my thing was, they're talking about creating jobs, but then we don't have dealers. To me, it was just it was the dumbest thing ever, because I know some dealers in Vegas. I've known some people that have done that, and it's a profession. You have to be trained. You have to love to deal cards, and it is a job, and it is a job that a lot of people enjoy. Some people that can't handle gambling become dealers, and they turn that vice that they had where they were losing too much into something they still can enjoy, but yet they can get paid to do it. So, turning it into a hobby, into a profession. And then I know some other people that have done pretty well playing Texas Hold'em and cards. So my question is, what do you think about the gambling creep? And, and literally you could see that sort of happening with marijuana around. And, I don't like using the word creep and marijuana because I think there's marijuana that's like creeper or something like that. I don't know. I don't want to act like I know something about that, but that's what I think we want to talk about next is what do you think about how pretty much these things get in our society. I mean, we've talked about the morality, we've talked about the need. Well, let's talk about how. So let's go with Ed first. Ed, you get to go first. I know you're ready.
So I think he made two excellent points, and I will point out that I've been going to Vegas for the NCAA tournament for many years now, meeting up with Navy buddies there. My last trip to the NCAA tournament, all of my bets went online. So instead of all that money that was going through Vegas, that money was going back to Indiana. I didn't have to worry about going up and cashing out a casino or anything like that. So even though I was still in Las Vegas enjoying the environment there, that money was still coming back to the state. So I think he made a great point there, because even in California for years, living there, lawmakers used to complain there because people would just drive across the border, and they're like, why are we letting them, take the money across the border? The second really great point, I'll point out, I used to play online poker for many years until they took it down. I got a check back in the mail one day and was really surprised, try to figure out what was going on. And I believe it was Poker Stars, online gambling, they had totally rigged the system, and people were losing money that were, it was an underhanded backhand way of taking people's money. They knew what cards were coming out, and were letting that out. And so I think when we talk about the creep, these things are out there, especially when you talk about, I know a lot of local poker games that, go on that are totally off the books. And so these things are out there. I think for a protective measure, it does help bring them back into somewhere that is regulated, that you can do it right. And so I do think from that standpoint, it does protect people.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. Tiffany, do you have anything to add to this about you're aspiring to be a public official, and I'm sure that these tax dollars will be hard to be turned down to fix our roads and our education and whatnot. So what's your thoughts?
More swine barns.
I'm going to leave that alone. I have several jokes right there that politicians wouldn't like me for saying. So, that's...
Well, I think that what he said was spot on, Ed, and the other guy. I think that there's a morality of it, and then there's the money, the tax revenue, the opportunity for jobs, doing good things for our economy. Years ago, when I was in the when I was in the Air Force, I was stationed in Alabama, and Alabama did not have a state lottery at that time. And people would drive to Georgia, they'd drive to Mississippi, and they would go get their Powerball and Mega Millions tickets, or they'd go down to Florida. And and Alabama was losing out on that tax revenue. And they fixed it, and now they've got the lottery down there. So in Georgia, they're using the Peachtree Lottery to send kids to school for free. They're doing a lot of good stuff. And so I think that any state that's missing out on the revenue, the opportunity, the jobs, I mean, it really hurts their residents more than anything, because people are going to gamble. They're going to do it one way or another. And you just have to really figure out a way to make it work, to regulate it, legalize it, and make it work for the state and for the people.
Yeah,
I love the lottery.
I do think that, it is a creep, but I do think that, it's sort of like dipping your toe in the pool, then your leg in the pool, then you're up to there, and then you get in. One quick story about that: back in 1984, before we had the Indiana lottery, my dad played the Michigan lottery. And this was around spring break time, and old Johnny wanted to go to spring break, but Johnny didn't have any money. So I had some friends that had a Volkswagen Beetle, and they had 4 guys already going. And my dad hit the Michigan lottery for $100, and he gave me that money to go to Florida. And my mom gave me 20, and I went to Florida for a week on $120, 5 guys in a bug car. I'm a heck of a salesman to talk my way into a Volkswagen going to Florida, because we all got sunburned down there on the way back. We were about to kill each other around Georgia. True story. But if you ask me about it again, it never happened. So that's my lottery, windfall that my dad got for me. So Lucy, you like the lottery. What?
I love the lottery. I mean, as Tiffany pointed out, they're actually using and diverting some of those tax dollars to good use, like education. What's better than that? But really, when you think about it, it's just another tax, and it's on people that are bad at math. And so, but it's actually the chance for people to get some of their tax dollars back. We had the multi-billion-dollar rainy day fund in Indiana, which as soon as it was announced was hoovered up by the politicians, and they decided to spend it on something else. So why not give some of the tax dollars back to people?
Yeah, that's I know that I have some friends that had Buck's Supermarket, and I think they were number 2 in lottery for when they were rolling, and it's just amazing that people play the lottery. And my friend Tim Couch that just passed away, he spent $210 on numbers and lottery every week. Now he hit and he hit one day, he hit for 10 grand is his numbers, and he was like, so it's a lot of people, they play their numbers, they play their lottery, and it's entertainment. And I think as long as you have it in your budget and to do that, I think, hey, freedom. I mean, we're a free society. We should be able to do what we want to do and be able to go that route. So let's see here. So, Adam had to make the point. He's of the 19 Florida man was John Smith in a Volkswagen. Yeah, we were that. We had the grand idea that we were going to stay at the Lambic Eye house in Miami until we showed up, and it was basically a 3-bedroom house. So there's a lot more to that story that'd be for another show. So I think this has been a good discussion about this, and I want to save some time for this next conversation because it's got something to do with masks and stores and Lucy. So, I think that's right there is just enough to be going right into this segue of masks and stores and Lucy. So here we go. It's going to be like a little narrow thing here, and because it's a Facebook Live. So listen carefully for the responses of the others, but Lucy's response is the best. So that'll be loud and clear. So here you go. Enjoy this about 2.5 minutes, and then we'll come back on and we'll talk about this little issue. I'm sure that it's on a lot of people's minds right now. So let's roll that clip.
You are a publicly traded company, and because you're a publicly traded company, you're under the United States Civil Rights Act. No, it's a public place. You have public business. No, it is not. You don't own it. The company doesn't own it. The landlord actually owns it. Do you want to call the landlord and get them here?
I can.
Go ahead. I'll wait.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. We don't have separate water fountains for vaccinated versus unvaccinated. We don't have separate water fountains for religious beliefs or race or sex.
Water fountains right now, ma'am.
Yeah, interesting.
Because of the pandemic.
Pandemic? Really? You see like people dropping like flies everywhere? For a 0.02%? Like, do you actually believe there's a pandemic? Do you believe that people are dropping like flies?
There's a pandemic based on the numbers, based on the people I know who have died off of the pandemic.
Did they die with COVID or did they die because of COVID? Did they have comorbidities? Were their BMIs over 32? Did they have comorbidities like diabetes?
Ma'am, I don't think you should put the pandemic lightly, seeing that this has been a crisis going on for
a crisis?
Yes.
People are not dying in the streets. This is a total scamdemic. The only reason that you think that there's any kind of a problem is for 2 reasons. 1, there's a very big profit-driven motive because of the pharmaceutical companies. And 2, you have MSM who get all of their advertising dollars from the pharmaceutical industry.
Yet all of the vaccines are free.
They're not free. You have to pay for them through your tax dollars. You think that's free?
Tax dollars have always had a pandemic fund. There is a fund.
It's still theft. Taxation is theft. When somebody takes money from your paycheck and uses it for something that you don't agree with, that's theft.
Taxation without representation is what.
No, taxation is theft, period.
You are being represented through your voting.
No, I am not being represented through my voting. I do not vote for people who steal from me. Thank you very much.
Then you choose not to vote. That is one of your choices.
So I'm never going to buy anything at GameStop again.
Okay.
And so don't ask me to come into one of these stores again.
Okay.
And I think we'll go back to some place where people have some common sense. Good luck to you. Good luck with your vaccines. Good luck with your vaccines. I hope they don't kill you or give you central nervous system disorders like my friend Sean, who can no longer walk and no longer work and was fired.
All right. So Lucy, you were mansplaining that to that person. I'm just saying that
So you go, and obviously with 10 kids, at least one of them is going to be a gamer, just statistically speaking. So you go into
True.
GameStop, and they basically accosted you and said, "You ain't coming in here unless you put a mask on."
Yeah, like they came up and physically barred me from going back. And what we had to do that day was very simple. We were just exchanging a controller for an Xbox on a warranty. And the epilogue is that we left that GameStop. We went to another one, which had the same, little sign on the door, which I ignore. It doesn't apply to me. And I walked right up to the counter and told them what I wanted to do, and they wore a mask, and I didn't, and they exchanged it, and no harm, no foul, in and out in 10 minutes. So it really boils down to people become petty tyrants when they think that there is something that they can exert control over another person and exert force, coercion, and fraud. And unfortunately, we just have turned into a society of petty tyrants.
Yeah, and I think it's such a hot topic with the mask and the vaccine. And I think we're seeing that a lot of people are getting shamed. I think basically what I'm hearing is about half the country has been vaccinated. And, and it's not helping the fact that people that get vaccinated are still getting sick. And I've
As
talked
predicted,
to people,
the Delta variant is just the COVID vaccinated.
Yeah, and they missed the flu vaccine. I get it. I mean, and I really think that I've talked to a guy today that he got the shot. A lot of people in the family got the shot. Some people had it. Some people had no reaction to the shot. Other people got sort of sick. Some people got really sick. And I think that's going to be very, very close to if you actually get COVID in the wild. It's going to be like that. It is still a hot topic, and now we have new variants, and now we have other things and masks. If you get vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. Now it's everybody's got to wear a mask. I went to the doctor today at the hospital, and I don't have any problem wearing a mask in there because the doctors have masks on. Some people might think I'm a doctor, and that'd be an upside. But it's just such a hot topic. So Ed, up in South Bend, how's the mask atmosphere up there?
I would say it's a mixed bag, but I'm going to go ahead. Some of the work at Lowe's, and when this pandemic started off, I'm going to go ahead and stick up for the guys at GameStop. I have family at home. This wasn't just me working in Lowe's by myself. I had other people at home. Whatever your take on it is, I didn't have the option of packing up and going home. I was there at work. We're still required to be at work. And it wasn't just one customer that I was dealing with. I mean, I deal with about 500 a day. And so to me, one store versus another store, some may enforce it differently than others. But I would also say, from also working with different Lowe's when I was with them, that you'd also deal with different customers and have different circumstances, or even the employees would feel different. And especially these days when companies are having a hard time trying to even get people to, I see Chick-fil-A stores, I see restaurants. I know one of my favorite restaurants has a sign up outside that says they've closed 2 days out of the week now because they can't find enough employees. And so to me, we could argue back and forth on the effectiveness of the mask, but I'll stand by the employees. It is a place they have to work, and they should feel safe at work.
Yeah, and speaking of Lowe's, I was at Lowe's today, and all the employees are required to wear masks, and not one of the persons that I saw had the mask. Well, I had one guy had a bandana over everything, but all of them had it just over their mouth. And so I'm fine with that. I mean, however you have to do it, but I'm telling you, if I had to wear a mask all day, I mean, as much as I talk, it wouldn't be pretty. It wouldn't be
I'm
pretty.
no longer working there, so that should tell you something.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I mean, then we have choice. And I think at some point there's going to have to be a common ground that we can find. And I heard somebody say today on the radio that this is here to stay. We're going to have to learn how to live with it. And the broad range of people dying to people having no effect is just baffling on how that
Common
works.
ground, John.
Yeah.
Common ground is really super simple. Mind your own business. If you feel that masks,
We
that's
got a
very, very
lot of-
simple.
we
Very,
got
very
a lot-
simple.
So
If you think that
hold on a
masks work,
second.
you should wear them. If you don't think that masks work, don't wear them. I have a religious belief. God breathed into me the breath of life, and that is a gift from God, and I should not dishonor it by covering that up. From a political standpoint, I will not be muzzled.
So this would be a good time for me to play this right here. Hi, this is John Schmitz for Chateau de Mars Hill Pharmaceuticals, and I have a brand new medicine for you that's come out, and it's for Facebook users only. As a psychologist, we don't hear enough about mental health, and this medicine here is guaranteed to help you with your mental health on Facebook. And the name of the medicine is Mind Your Own Business, and this thing helps you. You just take 1 tablet daily, and it keeps you from making stupid comments on Facebook. So rush out today to your local drugstore and get you some Mind Your Own Business. Very good, Lucy. That's why I love how you set things up on the show. So
I had
awesome.
no idea. I had no idea.
Yeah. I know that was sort of, I played it before, but it's sort of true. I mean, I type out stuff and then delete it, on a lot of posts. It makes me feel better to say it and then just, erase it. So Tiffany, what, the mask in your world, what's that look like? Oh, she didn't want to answer. She's
It's interesting. To and from Aruba, I had to wear a mask at the airport. Oh, what? I had to wear it on the airport or the airplane at the airport. On Sunday, I had a mask on for 12 hours. It was brutal. I already had sun poisoning going on and sunburn. My face was hot. It was unfortunate and it was uncomfortable. But on one of my flights, I noticed that there was an infant on there, and it was the cutest little baby. And I was looking at that baby. It's like, that baby doesn't have any kind of immune system. I'm okay with wearing a mask. If everybody on this plane has on a mask to protect this baby, it made a lot of sense. And I think in a lot of ways, because I'm prior military, I'm rule bound. If the rule is wear a mask, if you want to do X, Y, or Z, I'll put on a mask to do X, Y, or Z. But if it's recommended, I'm probably not going to do it. Like, I'll go into the store. If I don't have to have a mask on, I won't. But sometimes you do have to look around and say, you know what, there's a lot of people here. I need to protect myself, or there's a lot of people here and I need to protect them. So I think it's a lot of just individual responsibility, looking around, being smart. I know in real estate, we were very, very lucky that we were considered mandatory business, and we were able to work during the shutdown. So we're very grateful for that. I think in the office, we're probably going to start wearing masks again because people are getting sick. I don't want to pander to any type of conspiracy, but there's 3 people in the office who are fully vaccinated who are fully sick. So you just really have to do what you think is best for you. I think about it like in the 80s with the AIDS epidemic and the way the AIDS virus was spread. And I think back then we talked a lot about protecting yourself and being smart, wearing condoms, things to avoid the spread of AIDS. And I'm not saying AIDS and COVID are the same thing, but I think that I grew up in a generation of people who did what they had to do to protect themselves from the spread of AIDS. So I just think that we really have to think this through about how you want to protect yourself.
Yeah, and I think on that point, I mean, I think a lot of us that are older remember Ryan White. Because he got a transfusion and got AIDS from the transfusion, and that went down a whole different avenue, sort of like our mask and vaccine. People were really, discriminating a bit. They, basically called it, he was a leper. Nobody wanted to get around him. The AIDS was going to seep out of his skin. And, it was pandemonium.
I would like to comment on that for a couple of different reasons. Yes. One, Ryan White, it was discovered that he was very serious hemophiliac type A, like one of the worst, when he was circumcised and they couldn't stop the bleeding. That was how they discovered it. So had they not mutilated the kid's genitals, had they left him whole and intact in the way God made him, of course, this is another thing that I protest against is male genital mutilation and female genital mutilation. You shouldn't be modifying your body until you are 18 and you can consent. So he would have been okay had that not happened. Now, likelihood being a hemophiliac, they would have discovered it later. He probably would have had a blood transfusion. But if you're not already aware, the Bayer Corporation actually had liters and like tens of thousands of liters of blood that was infected with the AIDS virus in the United States. And because of our screening capability and the laws in the United States, they were not allowed to sell it in the US. So they sent it down to South America. And a whole bunch of people got infected in the same way that Ryan White did. So we have, these are just conspiracy theories. They're just spoiler alerts at this point. So
Yeah,
here we
really,
have a kid who was, sadly sexually mutilated. And to wrap it all up in the prettiest bow possible, who was there at the crime scene? It was Fauci. Fauci was doing the same thing he's doing right now, which is profiting off of his patents and directing people towards certain therapies for which he makes a profit. So if you go read the book Plague by PhD Judah Mikovits, it was actually her research and that was stolen and suppressed so that Fauci could profit off of the AIDS epidemic. Go read Plague. It's a fascinating read.
Lucy, you're our official librarian on this show. You have such knowledge of all these books. What do you read, like 2 books a day while you're driving or something?
I usually do 2 a week, and I'll, if I'm driving someplace, I'm listening to a podcast. I'm just a nonfiction kind of girl. It's really unusual for me to watch TV. And I was watching this, it was like really entertaining, and it's an old show called Longmire. And then I'm like, wait a second, it's great, but it's still, there's still mind control in that. And so I had to stop watching it.
Yeah, well, it's it's entertainment. It's like gambling. If it's for entertainment
we should
only.
Talk about mind control and self-sabotage next week, and the way in which people are controlled and the techniques that are used, and MK Ultra and the CIA, and CIA is really Reuters.
I don't think you're ever going to run out of a conspiracy. And I'm just closing my eyes, and I got a picture of Lucy with a baby under one arm and a book in the other one and reading away.
That's how I went to sleep. I'm nursing a baby and I've got an iPhone, and I'm like reading my Kindle. Yeah, that's quality
and they
time.
say don't mess around with Big Jim. It's like don't tug on Superman's cape and don't mess around with Lucy. That's for daggone sure. So
I think we need to work. I think we need to work on getting a sponsor that's an online bookstore here. I think they could.
Better World Books, man. Let's shout out Better World Books up in South Bend, Michigan. Yep. Are you aware of Better?
Yes,
yeah, man. That's where I buy all my books from. Is Better World Books.
Awesome. Yeah.
Unless it's Kindle.
If you get on I'm going to give you a free tip on this show. This is going to be a tip that's going to cheer up your Amazon guy. So when the Amazon guy comes, because Lisa ordered a lot of stuff on Amazon, I call him the amazing guy. Oh, I'm sorry, you're and man, the guy, everyone, I'm like, start laughing. Oh yeah, thanks for, so that's your tip on how to, get your package up on your door. Because some guys will just drive by and throw it in the yard. But if you call him the amazing guy, that package is going to make it every time.
I got to ask John, true story. Does Lisa leave out milk and cookies for the amazing?
No,
Amazon
but
guy?
one day the amazing guy helped me. I was trying to get something down in the basement, like half of this sleep number bed that wasn't fitting, and the dude helped me. So he was an amazing guy that day. So no, we just try to keep the wild cats off of him or her and all that stuff. So,
yeah, I'll tell you what, just to like put a little bit of exclamation point on the whole AIDS thing, you should go read some books by Peter Duesberg, the foremost virologist, who wrote a book, I think it was called Inventing the AIDS Virus. And you'll be really blown away when you discover what's really going on behind AIDS. It's much deeper even than COVID.
I just remember, we were senior in 1980-ish, senior college, and reading in Time magazine this new disease that was going to be awful coming out of Africa. And, so the hype was being, built up for it before it actually got here.
That is so racist. How many times do you need it? Okay, so apologies to my friends that are Black and people of color and Indigenous. I hope I don't offend you by saying this, but I am super sick and tired of the white man blaming people in Africa for having sex with monkeys for creating AIDS. If you go watch a video
I can remember how that works.
Oh yeah. How freaking racist is that? I mean, like people in Africa are unclean, like they don't have high rises and running water. What kind of crap is that? But what's interesting
people
is
believe it. I mean, a lot of people have never been out of the country, and they, and
I haven't either. I've seen pictures. I've seen high rises in Africa. Kenya's beautiful. I mean, it's not all savannah. But what's interesting about that is that if you go to YouTube and you actually look at the guy's name is Marcus Hillman, he was the inventor of the MMR vaccine and he worked for Merck, and he will laugh. He talks about how they brought AIDS into the country by importing green monkeys. and how they avoided the normal controls that you would have through customs by routing these monkeys through Spain. And they laugh. It was like, a 60-minute segment, and this is the part that didn't get on air. And here he is laughing, oh, yeah, we brought AIDS into the country. It's like, you freaking psychopath.
Well, I think a lot of people will do anything for $1. So full disclosure, I do have like a few shares of Merck, but now I may sell them because I'm not really down with that kind of thing. But I knew they were going to pay dividends. So, and I have a lot of stock. Actually, the stock market is legalized gambling. So it's, another one of those, like Mark says, the insurance industry, they have actuarials that know what you're going to do. If you need a new roof from hail damage, you know what? That's already figured in. They may pay $8,000 or $10,000 for your roof, but guess what? They're going to get about 20 back in policies. So from each person. Yep. So that roof ain't as free as you think it is. All right. Well, hey, Tiffany, we lost Tiffany
again.
And she was doing so good all day.
It was a conspiracy.
It's conspiracy theory. Yeah. It's, So that's going to bring us to the conspiracy theory, and Tiffany's coming back on. Let's get her on here. There you go. Hey, if you didn't disappear at least once on the show, it wouldn't be a good show. And I forgot to upload the intro. One of these days we'll get it. Maybe we get a sponsor. That'll motivate us to have a really clean, good show and get all this together. And you guys could get paid like a dime or a nickel 59 or whatever that is, because we deserve a little bit of pay. Send me some
Chick-fil-A, DoorDash. And I'll
we need to get that. We'll do some advertising, placement advertising. That's sort of a big thing. So you could put back in your background, Ed. You could
maybe they'll send us some money.
Send me Starbucks money.
Yeah.
So I have not had a cup of coffee since 1989. So I can get that.
I'm really rare. Yeah, it's really rare.
How do you live?
That's another story for another day about that. Why I don't have coffee. So, all right, Tiffany's looking at me. She was drinking coffee a minute ago. Probably stay awake on this show. But so that's going to take us to the conspiracy theory. So everybody get ready. I'm going to play the intro. And you know what? I don't even have one, but I think I'm going to make something up about gambling. I'm going to give you gambling sure bets on my conspiracy. So let's play the intro. Get your hats on if you got them. If you don't, let's don't. If you got something, let's do it. So here you go. Hey, y'all, it's time for the conspiracy theory, so you better get your tinfoil hat out, and let's see what's going on this week. All right. Hey, look at us. We're in gear. We're in gear here today. Everybody's got this down pat on things, and my little antennas are doing pretty good there. Oh, I got one down. Sorry, one down.
Man down. Antenna down.
Okay. Yeah, I won't be able to channel my predictions, my sure thing betting technique. So, I'm going to do something rare. I'm going to go first tonight because I'm sure that you don't have these gambling tips that I have. But I got this from my bookie / casino worker / parimutuel guy that plays in a card game tip. Now, he told me that I need to bet on the Olympics ending. He said it's a sure thing. They're going to end at some point. So you need to bet on that and you will win. So I don't know. I'm probably going to take him up on it. So, I don't know. You guys can take the tip. I don't want a lot of people knowing that tip because then it'll reduce my odds and I won't win as much. So, but, I like the audience and I like you guys. So I figured, I'll share the money with you but it's a sure thing. I was assured by it. So, Ed, let's go to you since you are sort of our sports betting expert and usually don't have a conspiracy theory. So I don't know. I'm looking at your face. I'm seeing that
she's been abducted by her
boyfriend.
boyfriend.
May or may not have something. So, and Tiffany is gone again. So
yeah, she's abducted by her boyfriend. He doesn't want to talk about it anymore.
He's probably out there chewing on the cable. So she's back.
I don't have a conspiracy theory, but I do want to hammer on the Olympics a little bit here.
Okay, well, we'll let you do that.
Based on what we were talking about a few weeks about it, how athletes were getting treated, there's been a lot of talk about, the athletes actually leaving for their home countries and leaving extra uniforms, jerseys, apparel behind. And saying that and not just U.S. athletes, is from other countries as well. And come to find out, we've had some of the athletes talk, and they actually sound like they got Spirit Airlines to fly the athletes there, because from what the athletes are talking about, they've got one bag. They didn't give them any opportunity to ship any of this stuff home, so they had no way of putting it in their bags. They received it there, and there was no way to take it home, so they had no other alternative than to just leave it behind. So my guess is somehow Spirit Airlines figured out a way to get all these athletes to that country, because I can't think of anyone worse.
Yeah, so I take it we could count on no sponsorship from Spirit Airlines. I mean, that just rules them out right there. That's gone. Thanks, Ed. I had them on the phone a minute ago, and we were thinking about it, but now, So,
if you've ever flown on Spirit, you know they're not sponsoring anything.
Oh, they are. Yeah, they're the lowest of the low budget airlines. It's like, nobody can match Southwest Airlines. I don't think they have a little heart on their thing, and I think they really mean it. So, Lucy, what do you have for us? I mean, which one are you going to do tonight? Which one?
Well, and I've done so many that I'm getting to the point where I'm wondering, have I even given this conspiracy factoid before? Have I already told us? Please remind me. Like, I seriously can't remember because I've given so many. Lyme disease.
It's the
Lyme
tinfoil
disease.
hat. It just fogs your brain. It does.
Yeah, well, it's blocked out all the signals and protected my brain, so I can't do it.
That's why I got the antennas.
So if this is recycled, then I will apologize in advance. But for those of you that may not know, after World War II, Russia and the U.S. kind of split up the Nazi scientists. And as a result, a lot of the scientists got new identities. They didn't get prosecuted for the terrible, insanely evil things that they did to people during World War II. And anyway, I won't say all, but a fair number of them ended up on Plum Island, which is off the tip of Long Island. And it's 7 miles across the water from Lyme, Lyme, Connecticut. One of the Operation Paperclip scientists, his name escapes me, his specialty was in bloodborne diseases, and ticks are wonderful carriers of bloodborne diseases, as are mosquitoes. But the tick was his favorite vector. So he created a spirochete. He created a bacteria based on syphilis, which is also a spirochete, and it literally burrows into your tissues. And, some birds came over to Plum Island, and he got the ticks on the birds, and the birds flew over to Lyme, Connecticut. And then in the late 70s, he started having this phenomenon known as Lyme disease. And for many decades, people said that Lyme disease wasn't real. You had docs. Yeah, Adam, I think you're right. This does sound familiar, doesn't it? So once again, it's this conspiracy fact.
You're telling it differently. So
yeah, so that's what happened. I mean, even Avril Lavigne was out for 2 years with Lyme disease. And so I think it's just another example of government in collusion, super government. So it's not just the U.S. government. It's like people above the government who think that they own and control us, and we're like their cattle, right? So now I'm kind of going off on a tangent again, but Lyme disease,
Yeah,
it was all created.
That's why I quit putting limes in my Corona, because of that fact right there. So,
yeah,
all right,
that's a good deal.
I'm anticipating a Bigfoot report, lost, found, otherwise. What do you have for me?
It's over. Okay.
It's over. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, I don't know.
It's over. You just walked. It's over.
He left. He left big footprints on the way out. I got it.
Did he leave those big footprints on your heart?
My heart's broken for you guys.
Yeah, and now Bigfoot's not going to sponsor us either.
He took the watch.
Yeah, I had Bigfoot all lined up to give us sponsorship money too. Now, nope, done. So thanks, Tiffany, for that. Ed and Tiffany, you guys, you're ruining our sponsorships. So, and GameStop was also somebody that was thinking about it, but Lucy said we don't want it from them. So,
and yeah, I just lost money on Tiffany's conspiracy theory.
Yeah, that was it's so we'll have to see what happens next week with the saga of the Bigfoot and everything else. I think we were looking at possibly voter integrity next week. I don't know. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Yeah. So I think I'm going to have Diego Morales who is running for Secretary of State. I think we're going to have him pop in as a guest. And hey, if anybody's out there watching and you want to do a cameo take, you don't have to be famous like Jason Hammer or Ronald Reagan or the Pope. An average person can send me a take. Just do a 2 or 3 minute video of yourself on the subject of voter integration. See what I did? I Freudian slip there. Integrity. And send it on into us. You can send that to mouthwashtalkshow@gmail. I got a little Dropbox there. You can put it in. I will make it show ready, and we'll put it on there. And hey, there's no right or wrong answers here because we have a minty, fresh take on politics, and we're going to keep it civil, or we're going to punch you in the mouth. So there's that. So let's wrap this show up for tonight. And I think the audience chat has been excellent. I don't see anybody that has guessed that right, but I'm going to leave that open. If you want to send your guest, that's after you get done doing your research, you send the proper guest to me on mouthwashtalkshow@gmail with your address and the correct answer. I'll send you a t-shirt, and make sure you put your size on there too. We got a whole new thing in here that's all good. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go around. Lucy, Ed, and Tiffany are going to wind it up, and then we're going to end this show properly. So Lucy, go ahead.
I just want to give a shout out to my fellow warriors who are standing against the smallest encroachment of your rights. Continue to stand together, and don't let the man get you down.
The man. All right, Ed. Closing argument.
Closing argument. Best week ever up here in South Bend this week. Best Wednesday ever coming up. We got a lot of events. So if you're in the area, look up on South Bend Venue and Parks, and you could get some great information going here in South Bend this week.
Good. You're doing a great job holding down the fort. Not Fort Wayne, but South Bend. So, and Tiffany, what's your last take before we sign off?
So I'm flying out tomorrow. I'm heading back to Carolina to be with some friends. One of my best friends from high school, her niece passed away. And I just wanted to take a minute to talk about mental health. Mental health is real. People having issues. And suicide is being caught in the United States. Average 152 Americans die by suicide every day. And 90% of those people have a diagnosed mental illness. So take some time. If you know somebody who's struggling, give people help, give people phone calls. People have mental health issues. We're all very fragile, and sometimes we just need a friend. So just want to leave with that.
Yeah, that's a very good ending point. And everybody remember, we're all in this together. We're all on the same team. Sometimes, we beat on each other like we're opposites, but at the end of when the fourth quarter is over, we all got to come together and we got to be one unit and stick together. And that's what I like about this show. We have a lot of different opinions in our chat, on the show, on our guests. And, hey, hopefully the mainstream media will catch on a little bit and we can have some decent conversations about things. And let's tune back in next week for voter integrity. And we'll take it from there. And, maybe we'll see some more results from voter stuff that's going on. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Share it, like it, all that. We're up to like 700 followers. We're like, wow, that's a lot of crazy people following us. But keep it up, share it, and all that good stuff. So, hey, see you next week, everybody. Peace out.